Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Hot Rod Pod, where it all began. I am Brian Loans, lead broadcaster for the NHRA on Fox, and one of the two co-hosts, and potentially sometimes three co-hosts, of this now award-winning, internet-smashing podcast. Of course, I'm joined by John McGinn, the editor of Hot Rod Magazine. Jeff Lutz, baby, that's this episode.
And a much anticipated one on
Yes.
my part. Jeff is a well-known, you guys know him way before me, starting with the Drag Week.
Yes.
His experience with Drag Week. I actually met Jeff in 2017 when I was with CarCraft, and we put the 57 on the cover of the magazine and did what I thought was a pretty cool video for our budget at the time. But I spent a week with him in Pennsylvania at a shop watching them finalize that car and get it ready for the Tri-5 Nationals at Bowling Green, and that's where the car debuted. That was a blast. Jeff's a super cool dude, and lots of great stories to tell.
Tons of great stories to tell. He's been a traditional drag racer in the NMCA, winning a Pro Mod championship. He, of course, went on to Drag Week and had some of the greatest knockdown, drag-out battles with Larry Larson that the world has ever seen before, during, or since. And then he's gone on to great stardom as part of the Street Outlaws franchise of drag racing in the No-Pep King series. We're going to talk to him about all those different things, about all the side projects he's worked on, and really where his life has gone, because this is a guy who started out as a bricklayer.
A bricklayer. Yeah, doing construction, and he said he got tired of doing it. Well, the housing market crashed in 2008, and started building cars full time professionally. He'd always been working on cars like prior to that, but it was a really cool story how you do something that's like totally different.
Yes,
and then go on to be like internet and TV sensation.
We'll peel back the curtain on what it's like to race in the No-Prep King series. We'll talk about what it was like to go drag racing at Drag Week and to gain real fame and really help to put not only that event on a different plane of competition, but also to put himself on a higher plane of competition as a racer. He's got loads of funny stories and loads of insight on some of your favorite drag racers as well. If you love Clay Millican, you're going to get some good insight there, as well as others that he knows in the NHRA Tour. Freiburger was jumping in on this one as well. It was made at SEMA 2023, and you will love every word. We are here at the SEMA show. Now, to give you context, it is the last day of the SEMA show. So not a single person you'll see or hear has a soul left in their body anymore. It's over, Johnny. It's gone. I'm Brian Loans. David Freiburger is here. The editor of Hot Rod, John McGinn, is here. And our guest today, Mr. Jeff Lutz. So where it all began is the premise of the show. But before you start, we're going to tell everybody who Jeff Lutz is and why we need to care about talking to him.
Oh, man. It's long and drawn out, isn't it? I think we can start. Let's go back to like the Earth cooled.
Yeah. On the seventh day.
I mean, headline is I think everybody knows you from Street Outlaws. I don't think everybody knows that you started as a mason or a bricklayer.
Bricklayer, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you were doing a car building shop at the same time, right?
Yes. I always built cars out of my little shop at home, and I built a big shop for the masonry company. And man, when the housing market was crashing, Junior was graduating high school, and he was a laborer for me when I was laying brick. Absolutely.
Man, he must have been 10.
No, he was young. He was young.
You were cheap. That was the most important part.
That's right.
Child labor laws coming in.
Yeah, so when the housing market was crashing, and I noticed that the generation of kids that were coming up, man, the people just didn't want to work. And it was getting harder and harder. And you know what? We cleared out the shop, made it the race car shop, and never looked back.
So what year was that?
I don't know.
No?
Can't remember.
Early 2000s,
Yeah, probably
maybe?
15, 20 years ago. Somewhere.
Yeah, it was I've been with Precision Turbo. I thought about it the other day when I was there. I've been with them for 18 years.
There you go.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
And so that goes back to, I think, in Hot Rod Magazine, claim to fame, running Drag Week, ended up on an episode of Roadkill, and then, of course, everything that's gone on since then with just rocketing you over the moon in popularity. The guys from HotRod.com were telling me that they do stories on you. Boom. Top 5 every single time.
And when I'm, famous from Street Outlaws, but you would be amazed how many people bring the Hot Rod magazines up and get them signed, And a lot of my fans are older, and it makes me feel good when I'm in a line with Ryan and Sean, and these people go, man, I knew you way before the show. And it's because of Hot Rod and Drag Week, and it's just been it's been a dream come true.
Remind me, did your Drag Week days come before? Yeah, it would have been before we did the Monza leaf blower episode of Roadkill.
Yes, Muncie, Indiana was my very first Drag Week.
Doesn't that track have grass right down
Yes.
the middle of it?
Yeah, and that was the first 6-second run too.
Yes.
He went Larson went a 6:94 or something like that up there. That was the first ever 6-second run at Drag Week.
And it was like 2008.
Yeah,
because it was the 1 year I wasn't there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't know Sean and Chief were there.
I
Do you
thought
remember
Sean
that?
was. I rember Sean showing up once. I've got photos of him in the water box, but I think that's as far as he made it, and then it was hightail home.
They were shooting mufflers off that damn thing. When he got out of the car, I went, holy how did he get in the car? They were huge. They were huge. So, but yeah, Muncie, Indiana, that's where it all started, and it's just been awesome.
And some of the most epic battles of Drag Week ever with you and Larry Larson.
Oh yeah,
the most. Yeah. I mean, really, they were. And that was really to me the heyday of that particular class, and before stuff just went totally out the window as far as people's sanity. But yeah, the back and forth you guys had for like a 3-4 year stretch was freaking awesome.
It was great, and he got mad at me because I said, I know you've been coasting all these years. I said I finally made you run your stuff. You know what I mean? Because he got mad at me, but you know what? That was a great rivalry.
It really was.
It was. I think that was the fun of it. You know what I mean?
That was the Garlits and Shirley of its era.
Yeah.
You can pick.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It was in a microcosm. It was of the epic days of the NMCA. It was the Musey Christian thing.
Absolutely.
That's what it really was to me.
Yep.
And I think it took Drag Week to a different level because we look at Drag Week now differently in that we really look at individual performance. Like we haven't had one of those great big personality. The cars themselves are awesome. That rivalry style thing is gone. In any of this drag and drive stuff. It doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah, now it's a big family affair.
Yeah.
There was some fun in having you guys sort of at each other's throat on that.
Oh, it was
deal.
great.
Yeah.
I loved it, and before Drag Week, on Sunday night, we'd be all out to dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
But Monday, it was
Business.
on.
It's time to do business.
Yeah.
The moment was when? Was it Memphis? No, it wasn't Memphis.
Yes, it was Memphis.
When it came down to the very, very end. Do you remember that? You were there, Brian.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was 200s by 200s.
Yep.
Yeah.
I pulled up, I broke. He pulled up, he broke, and it was just it was a good time.
I don't know if you're aware that you still hold the all-time record for lowest ET. I think it's 619.
Lowest average ET of the week. You still got it.
I think that must have been Mad Max, right?
I want to lower that too, by the way.
Well, that would be great.
That would be cool.
Yeah, nobody's done an all 5-second drag week yet
Yep.
at any of these
Imagine
events.
that.
Yeah, imagine that.
Imagine that.
So you kicked that all off with the 57.
Yes.
Then you had the Evil Twin.
Yep.
And then Then you had the Mad Max. Which is 69 Camaro Pro Mod car.
Yep.
And you've never had the GTO or anything like that. I think that's where it ended for Hot Rod Drag Week.
Yeah, the last one was I think 2016, and the show took off, and I want to do it. And all the fans ask me all the time, "Are you done?" I said, "You never know."
I know we've talked about it every once in a while over the years. You're like, hey,
man, yeah. I'm like, man, can I just show up?
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want anybody to know I'm coming. So you never know.
That's the thing.
So, but Jeffrey and I talked about it, and I asked him if he'd ride along. He said, "Absolutely not."
Yeah, absolutely not. Mike Finnegan, my co-host on Roadkill.
Oh man,
he will talk about riding in your car for that
through
evening.
the rain and
Just
everything, and
bloodbath.
10 miles an hour in the breakdown lane.
Yeah,
I'll never forget it, man. That was some cool stuff. Kyle from 1320, he rode along. Man, he shot his face. His eyes were bright red. He goes, "I don't know how you do it."
Yeah.
I was riding with my head out the window. It was brutal.
So I think one of the things I want to talk about, and this will kind of lead through the story, but like drag racing, to break out of obscurity in drag racing is really tough because so many people do it in so many different places. Sports fractured in 1,000 different directions. You're one of the few guys that have broken out of the obscurity of drag racing, right? It's a handful of people. And so I want to know that moment when you really start concentrating on the Street Outlaws stuff, that franchise starts to kind of gain steam. When did you wake up or roll into a racetrack and look around and go, oh,
well, as soon as he was on Roadkill.
Yes.
that was a way different oh. That was I think I've ruined everything I've worked my whole life for. That was that. But this is when you first kind of got an inkling that, man, this thing is rolling.
It was at St. Louis. We rolled into the hotel parking lot where they used to put us in hotels, and the people found out where we were, and I was like, oh my God. Then we went to Thunder Valley, the
Bristol.
one in Bristol.
I remember that Bristol race. They sold the place out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
11 miles each way in the highway. The fire marshal come in and shut it down. They had one place to eat and one set of bathrooms open.
Wow.
And we filled that place. And that's how No-Prep Kings was born right there.
Were you full-time on the show from day one? I thought you sort of did a few episodes and built up to it.
I think it was after season 2, I ended up full-time, and I didn't really want to race on it, you know what I mean, because I was doing everybody's stuff.
Yeah, you were building cars, helping those guys out.
Yeah, then we did the Evil Twin. We dynoed it on the show, and I sold that car. Then I did the yellow one in it, and then that's when they said, "Oh, we got to get that on the show."
Yeah,
you know, because I'm known for the 57, and that's what they wanted, and they still want it today. So it's just been crazy.
And doesn't life become weird?
Very.
People start recognizing you in the grocery store. You're like, this isn't me.
Y'all been to my shop.
Yeah.
And I bought the property next to my shop across the creek, and the road runs along it. I have cinder blocks the whole way lining the property so people will not pull over and watch me mow grass.
Oh man.
Wow.
Honest to God. Wow. Yeah. I have a gate up now because when I'm there working, I shut the gate.
I'll tell Finnegan to stop that.
It's getting weird, man.
Go away, Mom.
Getting weird.
But yeah, it's just crazy walking around here. Everybody yelling your name. You guys know. I mean, it just. But to be a drag racer and car guy and to do what I love every day is just, I met some of my best friends.
We're totally
doing
lucky
it.
to do what we do.
Oh, it's just crazy.
Yeah, we share a mutual really good friend, Clay. I don't know how you guys met.
In Memphis.
Yeah, Clay Milliken, top fuel driver, NHRA.
I'm sitting in my toter home.
Oh, of course it was Memphis.
He knocks on the door.
Yep.
He come in. We sat down. We were like old friends, and that's how the Dentley Project was born. And I was like, man, I love the story, and I feel for him. And to lose your son, and I do everything with my son, and I said absolutely.
Yeah, so they built that car that Dalton had.
Yeah, the truck. Yep.
Yeah,
and it was cool, and we've been best friends ever since.
Yep.
And he knows everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he knocks on everyone's door. He goes, hey, how's it going?
Every YouTuber, I don't even know half of them. He knows them all. He's like, you don't know this guy? Well, no, not really.
No, he definitely plays that. It's smart. I remember meeting him at Memphis also for pump gas drags.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that was probably 2005.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
Yeah, first year I did it. I did it 2005 and 2006.
Yeah.
That was a fun weekend. We can tell that story later, I guess. But I remember getting just annihilated drunk one night. Who saw that coming? Before we went to dinner, and then we sat down, and Scooter Brothers, who owns Comp Cam, sat down next to me, and I thought, I can't even feel my food that I'm chewing. And, this is like a kingpin of the aftermarket here.
Yeah.
It was a great night. It was perfect. Everything was perfect. But
so oddly, you have so many stories along those same lines.
I really do. Really, maybe I should get
tell
some help.
more.
So no-prep drag racing is something that started out as this kind of little thing, right? I look at Shannon down in Texas.
Yep.
To me, she was the progenitor of this whole thing.
She
right?
was.
They really
Absolutely.
started that. Her series is where a lot of people started showing up to race. And then, obviously, the Street Outlaws franchise is kind of born from that.
Yes.
At least somebody saw that. Sam, I guess, saw that and realized that there was something really special happening there.
Yep.
In 100 years of drag racing, would you have ever thought that no-prep drag racing was going to be the thing that sent you to the moon?
No, it just everybody asked, do you like the street better or the track?
Yeah.
I love the track, and that's where I come from. But the no-prep thing, I started second-guessing that because I crashed in Memphis with the yellow car on the no-prep. I mean, when they said it was no-prep, we
was
were
legit no-prep.
unprepping them.
they were.
I mean, they're scraping
They
the
were
glue off.
scraping them.
Yeah.
And thank God finally they stopped doing that. But, yeah, it just I'm looking around. I'm like, it's the outlaw aspect of it that gets the fans in the stands.
It is.
That guy might crash that car. That's why that guy's sitting there. They want to see, and it's just, man, I've seen a lot of bad cars.
A whole string of events that popped up where really the more out of control the cars were, the more they filled the grandstands. You remember when they were started doing like a 235 radial race,
Yes.
and then they went to people with the 8-inch slicks?
Yeah.
It's like, just keep going until somebody's into the wall.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Orlando World Street Nationals. They used to run that heavy street.
Yep.
Saturday night in the staging lanes, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. There was still 150 small tire cars to get ready to go down the track because they were hitting everything.
Uh-huh.
They were smacking everything under the sun. So that was, if a fan thinks that that's going to happen, they're going to come and watch.
E.J. Potter said it the best. He said, people used to buy a ticket to watch me kill myself. And when I didn't kill myself, they bought a ticket the next year to watch me do it then, too.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's the same thing. It's that element of danger, which, that's, people love the crashes. Well, the crashes remind us that this stuff gets out of hand and can get quick. And that's ultimately what keeps people sitting there.
And the highlight reels are amazing.
Evil Knievel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the no-prep thing, again, we go back to it. Like, there was all, like, the traditional drag racer guys, like, oh, this is BS. Like, oh, this is garbage. Who the hell would want to do this? It's stupid. The insurance companies are going to cancel it. They're going to close these tracks down. And then a couple years later, these are the same guys that are calling you to have cars built.
Absolutely.
And they can't get in the gate fast enough.
Absolutely. When it came to light for me was here, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. I think you were announcing.
Probably.
And I come up, and Clay invited me to come watch. And
you were at the start line, right?
Yes. You remember that year?
I do remember this, yeah.
And I'm looking around, and all the drivers knew who I was. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. They're fans, So maybe I thought, wow, this is freaking awesome. But most of them they love it. And, NHRA got involved with the license thing back early. And I heard you say 14 million views when I posted my thing when they were going to try to take my license.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Right through the roof.
I remember that too.
There was an idiot that worked for the company at that point.
Yes.
And this guy had come from the NFL or some function of the NFL. And I'm not going to say his name because I'll probably get fired.
We don't have to.
But they started to go down that road, and I remember getting an email about it, and I responded like it did a reply all. I said, this is suicidal.
Yes.
Like, what you're about to do here is going to damage us for a long time. And they went right ahead and did it, and you know what happened. I mean, it was a nuclear disaster.
Oh, my.
To the point where they begged Chief to come to the U.S. Nationals.
Oh, I remember that.
It was so effed up. The only thing they could think to do, the guy who they tried to revoke his license, please come try to qualify your Pontiac Pro Mod against Stevie Fast Jackson.
And he didn't even have a license.
Right, he didn't even have a license.
Yeah, they called me and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. And they're like, you would choose your license over the show or the show over your license? I said, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Hell yeah.
You're not. Right. I said, you can have it.
Yeah.
I said, but send that $500
right.
back. I just
which one comes with the bigger check? That's the question I'd ask.
But they've been great ever since. So, we can all coexist.
Yes.
And what they do is amazing, and obviously what we do, the fans love. So
it has to be about the racetracks, and so nothing exists without the racetracks. So it's like if people are buying a ticket to sit at ABC drag strip, that keeps the place open.
Absolutely. And the NHRA fans I see, they come watch us too because I sign shirts, and it's been cool.
Well, and is it correct that even the cars that you're racing on the street, they fully pass NHRA tech?
Absolutely.
You guys have every lick of safety equipment.
Our safety guys, when we were doing the street stuff, if it had to be certified, and all the rules, all the safety stuff. They used to laugh at me because I wore a 20 suit. But
paid off for you though.
Absolutely. And in the end, everybody got up to snuff. Some guys were doing it without gloves, and we're like, man, it's on TV. You can't be doing that, and everybody just played along, and the rules got better, and, the safety stuff. You know me, I'm all about safety. I've crashed many cars, and it's saved my life every time. So.
Your relationship with Farmtruck and AZN is great. And to me, the way you've navigated your kind of the Street Outlaws career that you have and continue to have has been brilliant, because you haven't pigeonholed yourself into one thing. You haven't pigeonholed yourself as to, I'm the badass guy who's going to be angry every episode, this, that, and the other thing. You're a racer capable of winning. You're a guy with a great personality. And, oh, by the way, you can also fall in with those two clowns. And the show you guys had where you built all the wild stuff, the self-propelled trailer, all that stuff was freaking genius.
That in itself was so much fun because we got this big warehouse, loaded it with tools and lifts, and I got to do whatever I wanted, And the builds that we did, there was one, the farm boat.
Oh yeah,
we butted heads. We butted heads on that. And that was during COVID, so we got stuck in COVID. Jeffrey and I went to Fuel Tech to dyno the GTO, and the world shut down. So Farmtruck bought a boat while I was gone, and we come back, and here it's just a regular ski boat. And I'm like, man, we need a pontoon boat. He goes, what do you know about boats? I said, I know a couple.
What do you know about boats?
I said, I know a couple things. I mean, I got a 350 supercharged pontoon boat. I said, I know a little about boats.
Yeah.
We argued, and he finally listened. And the farm boat was born, and man, what a hit that was.
Thing's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The trailer was all time, though.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
We videoed.
We should explain what this is for the 4 people who don't understand.
It's I think it's a 74 Chevy van, short Chevy van, and we put a camper top on it, and it looks like it's running and driving camper that
Like a travel trailer,
yes,
little old
it could be towed behind a pickup truck.
Yeah, with an A-frame on the front of it and everything.
Yeah. Right.
So we did this skit, and the truck turned, and the camper kept going. You should have seen the people clearing out of the way. They didn't know what the hell was going. But we couldn't show that on TV because it's too dangerous. Oh my God, it was amazing.
So good.
Yeah, on Roadkill, we don't have those rules.
Well, Discovery, you can't do that. So
Whose idea was that?
That was totally Farmtruck's
Okay.
idea. That one was
Hilarious.
he bought this old camper and he goes, I want to put this on there. And I'm like, it was all wood and rotted. I said, just let me rebuild the skin out of aluminum. And he's got that guy that can patina anything.
Oh, yeah.
So we did that. Super light, and man, it was crazy. And his
It
attention,
looks hilarious going down the track.
his attention to detail is absolutely amazing. You know, he loves that older stuff like that. That's not me, but you know, it turned out really cool. And the Golden Knights Zamborghini,
Yes.
that was cool. I built every inch of that by hand, the frame, the whole thing, and it was just so cool.
We had the president of the Golden Knights came and spoke on Monday to the National Track Operators meeting, and the guy is he's fantastic.
Yep.
He totally gets it 100%. I actually talked to him about that thing. I said, hey, man, when he was getting ready to set up, I'm like, talk to these guys about the Zamborghini project. I said, because it's a car thing. If you lose them on one aspect, they'll get them on that.
Yep.
And it's so great. That team is so good at marketing themselves and kind of selling the whole Vegas thing. It's perfect. Yeah.
Another skit we did, I was inside driving it. Farmtruck and AZN were on top. When we brought it to the Vegas Knights deal, and they got off of it, and I kept driving it, and people just started running. Wayne Newton was there. He had no idea why he was there, but he was there.
Genius.
I looked. I'm like, who's the dude in the Newton shirt? And he turned around. I'm like, oh my God. But it was cool. It's been doing all those builds, and that's what I love to do. And I did it with Jeffrey, and oh man, it was crazy. So, you know, we've got things coming. Like I told you, we may do something at the shop. So it'll be awesome.
Talk about Jeffrey too, your son, who's just been in lockstep with you the entire time.
You guys met Jeffrey. I mean,
he was
early
12.
On. Oh my God! Yeah, I don't even think
he was
driving
laying bricks
yet.
out
Right?
front.
He was cutting pavers in front of a guy's house.
I'll never forget the year we went through Tulsa with Drag Week. It was raining, and Crazy Bob was with us, and
Crazy
man.
Bob Perrine.
oh my God!
Yeah.
God
The
rest
late-
his soul.
yeah,
What
the
a
late-
good man.
Yeah.
I remember we were on the turnpike in Tulsa.
Hellacious rain.
Hellacious rain. Rick crashed.
Yeah, Prospero. Remember that?
Yep.
Which came up on his toolbox
yeah.
and everything in the middle of the highway? Yeah.
And it finally got so bad we needed to pull over. And, of course, we passed the last rest area on the turnpike, and we didn't stop. So I got off an exit, and we seen this old gas station roof. And I'm like, Bob, I'm just going to pull over there. I can't go anymore. And that night, I looked over, and I'm looking at Jeffrey. The electronics was all on the passenger side, and he's curled up. I'm freezing. It's raining, thunder, lightning. And I look over, and I look at Bob, and it's lightning, and I see him stood up, and he's going like this. I'm like, what the hell? So later that morning, I said, Bob, what the hell was you doing last night? He goes, was the ground moving under your car too? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But that night, I looked at Jeffrey, and I thought, I paid to do this to my kid.
Right.
I paid to do this to my kid. And I just thought that would never end, you know. But
Yeah.
what a good time. That was good stuff.
And what happened to the Civic?
Still have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, Jeffrey, he's my tuner. He's my crew chief. You know, I fly him in, fly him out because we've got a grandson. His son, he has no time for it.
Yeah.
And we got to put it on the show. I drove it for the small tire stuff, and he changed it all up, put a big single turbo on it. It'll never be street driven again, but
yeah, this thing, by the way, is like, what is it, 89 Civic?
Honda EF,
stock
hatch.
wheelbase, right?
Yes.
Right, stock
Yeah,
wheelbase, and I think it's a conventional small block turbo,
it is,
right?
23-degree headed, small block,
Yeah.
big single turbo. He put it on alcohol, and, man, it's fast.
Yeah.
It's really fast.
It's cool. I
It
always
is neat.
dug the thing.
Yep, and I built that for him before he got out of high school. I said, man, that car's cool. I said, that'd be a cool drag car for you. He goes, yeah, I sold it. I said, what do you mean you sold it?
Yeah.
He goes, I just sold it the other day. I was like, oh, no kidding. I said, well, get another one. We'll build one up. And he bought
there it
another one
is.
right away. So
One of the things we kind of glossed over that I want you to talk about is that you had a successful career as a traditional pro mod racer too in NMCA, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
I've got I think I've got 4 or 5 Wallies from that when they teamed up with I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
but
NMCA partnered with NHRA
Yes.
to give Wallies away at
Yeah,
some of their
and I
events.
won the championship that year. I've got a big Wally, and yeah, I love doing the pro mod stuff. I'm a quarter-mile racer.
Yeah.
This 8th-mile stuff drives me nuts, but we were here in Vegas. I can't remember what year. It was Friday night, and I could not get that car to spool up. And I was at Super Street Car Nationals, and all the NHRA pro mod guys were there. And it come Friday night. We finally got the spool up. Here I had a bad turbo. We go up. I'm the last one down the track that night. I haven't even made it in the show. I've been there 2 days trying to spool this car up. We go 578 at 254, broke the NHRA Pro Mod record, and they're all just like, just looking around like, what the hell was
the hell
that?
just happened?
Yeah.
I can verify the truth of this story because my stupid ass was standing on top of a camper swinging a camera.
Oh,
we
doing
used to
a live
live stream that event.
Yep.
I had a dumb like Clark Griswold hat on. It was like 2 degrees out,
Yep.
and it was insane. It
Yeah.
was- it was-
Everyone peaks, Brian.
Yeah. That was 13 years old for me. Downhill ever since. But no, that was, and I loved it because it was like, it was the drag week. I don't know. I just loved the
Yeah.
moment because it was like, it was a mic drop moment to turn around and be like, this is who I am. Like,
Yep,
I'm here
yep,
now.
yep.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
super cool.
And
Legit.
it just, I've always loved pro mod racing. That's all I've ever owned was pro mods, and I've had a pretty good run with it, and I plan on running with it again.
Generally speaking, is your no-prep car quicker to the 8th mile than your Pro Mod car
Oh
was?
my, these guys are in trouble when I go quarter-mile racing because what I've learned in the 8th mile.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I mean, that GTO right now, it's a bracket car at a 960 60-foot turbo car.
Yeah.
I know for a fact every time I'm at the racetrack, they're like, man, we just don't see turbo cars do that kind of 60-foot. And when I get Mad Max back out, it's going to be epic.
Going to be wicked.
How come you've never changed power adders? Some of these guys change power adders every season.
So
Always
those
turbo
big
guy.
block Chevys that I bought them, man, probably 20 years ago.
Those TFS blocks that you've had
Absolute-
since
still.
time began?
Still. Hey,
Oh,
still.
yeah, that's
What?
right.
Yes. Yes. I bought 11 of them.
Yeah.
And I still got all of them but one.
Wow.
Just explain to people why that's so weird before we let them go ahead.
Well, Trickflow Specialties only made these big block Chevy aluminum blocks for like a year or
1989.
2. 89? And so they're
89.
all standard bore space stuff. Nothing trick about them. Standard lifter bores.
Did
the whole
they
deal.
come with a pair of parachute pants?
No. But
Yeah.
they do have the fuel pump boss still molded in the
Yeah.
side. Like if you drilled and tapped it, you could bolt a fuel pump on it.
Yeah, so
But-
basically it's an OE block replica made in aluminum.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah.
so you got
And
11 of these things.
And they are the strongest block I've ever seen.
Wow.
And you can hang a rod out of it. I did it at Drag Week. Hang a rod out of it. I cleaned the sleeve up, stuck another one in. Away you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. I had a company cut one of those blocks up. The one Jeffrey destroyed in the original 57. They cut it up, and they found out why it's so strong. It's just super thick.
Yeah,
And
but it still has enough water for the street, clearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They and the reason they sold them all, they in the back corner of the block they circled and they put blocked on it. They said the water passage was blocked. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I bought them all.
Huh.
Yeah. So, but I've got more into head studs than what I paid for them blocks.
Yeah.
You know?
I bet.
So, but you asked why I still run them because it'll still make 4,000 horsepower. I can go out I can run with the big billet Hemis, and I mean, reliability probably not as reliable. But Sonny Leonard told me the only difference between cast and billet weld's way nicer.
Okay.
So he said cast is just as strong if you get a good one. And he's been right. I mean,
everybody says the aluminum block moves around so much, and I would think that old aftermarket one would be that way. But
man, they make some noise when you bust the caps loose, but they just been a strong piece of our program, and I know them so well.
It brings up the point also, you're building this stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, since No-Pep Kings, I have West Side Machine in Idaho.
Those guys are awesome.
Oh, they're
Their
amazing.
shop is killer, too. Yeah.
You went there?
I do a race every year in Boise, and I always swing by and see those
Unbelievable.
guys.
So they really helped my program because we had a valve train issue for years. And, man, I got to them. They came to the race a couple years ago and said, hey, and I met Justin through Clay, and he works there, and he said, if you ever have any trouble, come over. Well, I stayed that week. I went over. They fixed it, and, man, I haven't broke a lifter or a rocker arm in 2 years.
Are you running like a 24 or 20-degree head or something exotic?
12-degree profiler, big Chief head.
Yep.
Same thing I've always run. I had an Edelbrock set on the original car, and, man, I dropped the valve one year and ruined that head. So I bought these profiler heads, and, man, we'd never look back. It just the horsepower is insane. So, I mean, we can go. We've been 370s in the 8th with that car. We went to Australia.
That is awesome.
Honest to God, we unloaded that car. I was the only one. Everybody got this memo where you got to drain all the fluids and all this. I'm like, they're like, take the battery out, put it in the bag.
It's like, meanwhile, your car is sailing by a ship with burning electric cars in it. Thank God. And you monster. You left the oil in the oil pan.
So they're filming us.
That's a good point. I love EVs burning in ships.
We open.
It's inevitable, David.
It's happening all over.
I know. As long as no one gets hurt, I love it.
That's right. So we opened the container, uncovered the car, took the blocks out behind the wheels, pulled the power on, and I drove it right out of the container. And they're all.
I bet they love that,
I mean, these guys show up. They got the oil drained out of their generator. I'm like, you guys are nuts. Man. Who checks that?
Right.
So we're in Perth. The first hit, man, I think it was 378 at 203. Right out of the container. I looked at Jeffrey, and I'm like, golly. It was just, but those motors are just amazing, and I love them. I'll probably never own anything, but the new 57, I did get these billet small blocks, 496 cubic inch, the nicest stuff I've ever seen.
It's not CFE. Who's doing those?
VD.
Okay.
Yeah, I bought them off Woody from Mark Woodruff, so yeah, we're going to try that avenue.
So over the course of a typical, like a No-Prep Kings event, right? How much does the track come around, or how much does it come to you? Is it consistent? Do you know if you're in the third round, you can give the car X versus
Absolutely. So like when we show up, they stop stripping them, and we had guys making compound to get the glue out of the rubber, and just it was stupid. So now we show up, they don't touch it. They broom it off, and away we go. So normally I'll go up there and test it at 200 on the starting line. 60 foot, you may have 250.
And just to explain what he's talking about, he'll go up there with a drag racers use this grip meter, right? So the bigger the number is, the more tight the racetrack is.
Yes.
200, not tight.
Not tight. Wheel speed. Right. So you get 7 or 8 pairs go down. You go back out there, you're looking at 350.
Oh, it's that quick it starts coming.
Instantly, because it's just rubber.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when they spray it, that don't help. Because when you get all that rubber on there, it's not good. So when it's just rubber and then the night air comes, oh my, it's good stuff. I've seen 400.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets real good. And to run the speeds we are,
I
mean, it's got to get good. So it's I love that part of it now. Because before, man, when they were stripping them and stuff, that was just not good for anybody. And if you were in Race Your Way In, they used to send you down first.
Oh, you were the guinea pig.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it was like, oh, my goodness. But, hey, it's a job, and it's what I love to do, and it's just been – it's crazy. I pinch myself every day.
Yeah, I'm impressed, and just watching the whole thing evolve is very impressive to me. And it's like anything else. It professionalizes itself to a degree. And you guys have done a really great job, I think, with the storytelling in that it hasn't overly professionalized itself. But the quality of equipment from 10 years ago to now, it's like – and you go back and watch those old shows, and it's like watching the early days of Pro Mod. There is not near enough chassis for everything that's in the front of that race car.
That's right.
And it's obviously over time, guys, you moving motors around and all the other stuff. But it's like it's a totally different world than even when you first started on that show. It's a totally different world.
Absolutely. Jerry Bickle figured it out early, moved the motor back. With Mad Max, I had him build that car. Best car I ever owned. And then I heard people they're measuring them, trying to figure it out, and Bickle's secret was out, and they just work. And, that involved into No-Pep Kings. Now, you look at the cars now. They're just, man, they're state-of-the-art. Yeah, it's insane.
And, you've been so hardcore for so long. I don't know what you did before that. I mean, did you ever start with a 12-second Camaro or something?
Yeah, so it was 88. I'm going to show my age. My wife and I got married. I bought an 85 IROC Z in 88. Owned it for a year, and I cut it up.
Uh-huh.
And my wife drove it to work with big tires, ratchet shifter, high heels, drove it to work, And then I painted it yellow, bought her something else, and the yellow just stuck. And I pulled the small block out. I kept it tune port because I couldn't afford all that.
Yeah.
Put a big block in it. I blew it up. Found a blower with a couple carburetors, let the button go, and I was going 880s. It was insane. My first car that I ever built, and then I built a Firebird, 92 Firebird, and man, that was in every magazine. And
what inspired you to do that first car? Were you like an NHRA fan, or
no? I was a Hot Rod Magazine fan.
Okay,
and I can't remember what year it was. It had the SS Monte Carlo on the front. It was red, tubbed.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I love that
It was
car.
like a paint and body cover.
Yes.
It was amazing.
What is wrong with my brain function that I recall that like you do?
But it was an iconic car. It was,
yeah.
And I think, I don't know what year it was, but he did it so fast. That car wasn't that old. And he had it cut up.
Yeah, it was
tires.
like a new car. It was
beautiful.
pro streeting a modern car.
You're like, I can ruin new cars.
And that lit me up, and I just could not believe. And then, Project X, when I was a kid, the yellow, that was my inspiration. And, when I went to paint that 85 IROC Z, I walked into the Napa Auto Parts, and they, not Napa, I can't remember what the name was, but they had the Pennzoil Pro Stock car.
Maybe it was Parts Plus.
Hero car. It could be. But they had the Pennzoil Pro Stock car up on there.
Oh, sure.
I said, I want that yellow. And that started it all.
That's
so
killer.
That was it, yeah. But that's what inspired me. The Hot Rod Magazine, the Monte Carlo, the red one. Yeah, he's going to find it.
Yeah, I'm looking on the MotorTrend app that has every page of Hot Rod scanned, and I'm trying to find
It was
cover.
early, man. It had to be 80, maybe early 90s.
I was looking at 87. Well, I'm not going to find it real quick, but man,
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you remember it. So,
Yep.
and I thought, like I said, I can't remember the year, but man, that car couldn't have been a year old or 2 years old, and he had it cut up, lowered, and I thought, man, that is just cool.
So where was your home track then? Was it because I'm
Keystone Raceway Park.
Keystone.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where it all started. My brother come home from the war. He wanted me to go look at a car with him. I went. It was a 70 Camaro SS. And I said, wow, that's nice. It's blue. It was a 4-speed. And the guy built dune buggies or something for a living. So it was a 400 bored out. And my brother can't drive a stick to save his So the guy goes, yeah, go ahead and take it for a ride. Man, I dumped the clutch in that thing, and I was hooked. We were at Keystone the next day, took third gear out of it.
Speaking of no stick driving, tell the Christine Pinto story.
Oh my God. We were kids. She didn't even have.
This
she
is
was
his
on
wife, by the
my
way.
wife, Christine. I've been with her damn near all my life.
Mm-hmm.
She was on her learner's permit, and we never drank when we were kids. Like when we had kids, we never drank. So we're sitting there. We left the party, and I was drunk, and it didn't take much to get me drunk. So I had a 1980 Pinto that my mom and dad gave me. I rebuilt the 4-cylinder, first motor I ever rebuilt. And it had a little 5-speed in it, and we're sitting at the bottom of this hill.
Oh, God.
And she's shifting, trying to get up the hill, and we're sitting at this light, and the cop was behind us. And every time she shifted, so
She can't drive.
She can't drive. So we're on the bottom of this hill, and she tried so many times. The cop finally turned the lights on. She's bawling. I'm like, just relax. And the cop come up, and he goes, can I see your license? And she goes, I'm on my permit. And it was after midnight. Back then, I don't know how it is now, but he goes, why are you driving? And he looked over at me. Why is she driving? I said, well, I had too much to drink.
And you're 17.
Yeah. And he said, man, that's the best thing I heard all night.
Huh.
But he pulled her out of the car. He gave her the whole deal. And, man, that she still can't drive a stick to save her ass. But, yeah, that goes back. We were really young. She was 17. I think I was 18.
How do you fit all those dogs in the back of a Pinto?
We only have one dog now. All the Great Danes are gone. We got a golden doodle. He's famous. Everybody knows him. He's Max. The fans love him. He crowd surfs all the time. We've been married 34 years, going on 35.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a story in and unto itself, because obviously, racing will take its toll on everything, right?
Yeah, drag racing is famous for longevity in marriages.
Oh yeah, no, that's the whole thing.
And financial stability.
That's the old saying, right? Racing gasoline is the greatest solvent of all time. It'll dissolve marriages, bank accounts, friendships. It'll dissolve everything.
But she's my rock. I had a dream, to do this for a living, and it just. Man, she's been there the whole time. When we went through hard times, she worked full time, and I would watch the kids or vice versa. And man, when we finally hit it big per se, I said I needed her at the racetrack. It was like, babe, you got to quit your job, and that was a big step for us.
I bet.
But we've owned our house since I was 18.
Okay.
We paid that off a long time ago, so it was we were in the right position. We had our kids early, and to be able to do it, it was just everything it just fell right in a line, and I couldn't have done it without her. You know? Yeah, it's been crazy. And my daughter, she was into it early, but she moved away and got her husband, and they bought a house, but Jeffrey, unfortunately, he's stuck with me. Yeah. So it's been just one crazy dream from when we did Roadkill with the Monza, we did Drag Week, and to where I'm at now, and sitting here with you guys, it's just been a dream come true.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's great to hear.
It's great, and one of the Drag Week stories, we chatted about it before we sat down, but I really want to go through it because it's probably my single favorite day experience in Drag Week. That day at Thunder Road.
I remember
and it was this great day because you and Larry were in the throes of it, going back and forth each day, and impound was set up right by the starting line. It was elevated, so the impound area is up here, starting line's down here. You go out, and we first rolled up there, and you looked at me when we got there in the morning. You said, "I think this is the narrowest groove in the history of drag racing."
I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I said it's not bad. It's just about 6 inches too narrow for these cars.
Right.
But you go out there and make this freaking hero lap somewhere in the 6s somewhere, and it's like the parachutes come out. It's like, all right, I can breathe again. And you go up there and you park, and all of a sudden Larry comes up. The car won't spool. He can't get it off the starting line. And he's never in this spot. He's there.
Yep.
Now he's trying to make 4 or 5 laps. It won't go down the racetrack. And you're starting to pack your stuff up. And there was just this visual of your car up there. You're getting ready to go, and he just cannot get his together.
Yep.
And it's like, wow. I mean, it was very dramatic and cool.
And I'll never forget your announcing of that, because you said something like, you announced me coming. You said something like, Wicked is on its way or something. It was just super cool.
Oh, something wicked this way comes.
Yeah, and I'll never forget you go, man, what do you think of that? Man, that looks narrow, but let's give her hell.
Yeah.
It was definitely the narrowest track I've ever been down. But
and memorable to this day.
Fear
sticks with you.
Yeah.
You and I had that interaction with the guy we drove past the drag strip on the route that year. And we got to go check this place out. So it was something River Raceway or Red Creek Raceway or something like that.
In Texas.
So this
Was
is
that
great.
where it was, Texas?
Yeah.
Was-
We
yeah.
were traveling between Dallas and Thunder Road.
Right.
We were Houston and Thunder Road. That's where we were going that day. We
Yep.
drove past this
Houston.
place. And we pull up, and there's this guy, like, straight out of Central Casting, like this old weathered guy with his wacko hair and this big beard. And he was troweling concrete into potholes in the dirt driveway. I'm like, all right. He turns around, says, "Hey, can we look at your drag strip?" And I think he had like a 45
Oh, he
on his
did.
hip.
Yeah.
And it's like he's like, "Yeah, go inside." He's like, "Don't mind the dogs." Remember that?
Yeah.
Freaking German shepherds and everything everywhere. But that was cool. We got to hang out at that place.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Roadkill Monza.
Yes.
So we've mentioned this a couple times throughout this episode. What we did is me and Mike Finnegan went to his place in Pennsylvania, and we had this 75 Monza that we had bought, and it was a 305 and a 4-speed, actually pretty radical.
Spider.
Neat.
Little
Yeah,
car.
Spider.
It was
It
a
was a
Spider. It
Spider.
was. And so we go over to your chassis dyno. We start running this thing. Didn't we frag the 305? And
It
we
was junk.
swapped,
Yep.
we swapped in one of your buddy's 350s. But then the punchline is we start supercharging this thing with leaf blowers. They were gas-powered leaf blowers. We ended up with 5 in the back, and we're on your dyno. And remember when it worked?
Yeah.
We're just like, no way! This actually worked! Yeah. It
I'll
was
never
such a
forget-
fun time.
I'll never forget cutting the hole in the firewall for the tube to go through.
Yeah.
And your camera goes, "Oh, wow, that's a fire."
Right. Yes, it did.
He was so excited that
Yeah.
the car was on fire.
Yeah, oh yeah, we love that. That's a highlight reel. But people ask me about the car all the time.
I know.
And it went on. It was in another episode of Roadkill where we did what's called the Boost Caboose. We put a trailer behind it, put a small block Chevy on it. The small block Chevy was running a Paxton supercharger, and we had a hose going up over the roof into the engine. And after that, we shipped the car back to Lutz, and he still has it untouched.
I have never touched it. I told Junior to take it across the property and put it in the upstairs of the trailer. I can't remember how many years ago that was.
and that wasn't a I never want to see it again moment. That
no,
was just,
it
it is what it is.
Get it the hell out of the garage.
But you took it to a couple car shows.
I did in Canada because you guys.
Because Canada.
Oh my
Right.
God, yeah, they
huge in Canada.
Roadkill is huge in Canada, and I just because every time I was up there, they go, "Well, where's the Monza?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, here's Mad Max."
Yeah, look at
Right, you know.
So
So the, next,
250 miles an hour. Yeah, with the Monza.
so the next year, I brought the Monza, and everybody loved it.
Yeah.
So we did that. We did that for a couple car shows, and then we just stuck it in there, and I don't even know what it looks like right now.
We planned recently to go dig it back out and do something with it. You were talking like off camera.
yeah,
I don't
in the
remember why it
spring.
fell apart.
You guys were driving. I think you were driving to the next track, but the rain or something canceled one track, and that screwed up the whole timeline. So
Okay.
Wasn't it the West Virginia deal, or no? Wasn't that going
No,
to be the
that
thing?
was something-
Different.
something else.
But
Yeah.
don't forget about the Monza, your total performance validation at the standing mile.
Yes.
Oh, man,
we,
yeah.
we went to Ohio to the Standing Mile, which Brian was involved in
Yeah.
actually running at
Yeah.
the time. Wilmington?
yes,
Wilmington, Ohio.
Right. And it was a mile, not a mile and a half.
Correct.
Right? No, it's Maine that was a
Yeah.
mile and a half. So it's a really, really good runway out there. It was like
Yes.
an old FedEx runway, I think.
Yep.
And Yumi and Finnegan all ran that thing down. I don't remember what it went, 127 or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think it cracked the 125 barrier. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. At the end of that, you're going, "Do you want that thing?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I guess."
You're like, no, but
and there was a kid
I
with
have
us.
to.
I said, "You're driving that home."
oh, that's
He
right.
drove it the whole way to
Forgot about
that,
Pennsylvania.
yes.
Yeah, he got in it and drove it. So it's been cool. I love it. It's a piece of history.
You know, that's like 10 years ago.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
times.
That man, I wouldn't trade him for the world. It's and it. Watching you guys, you with your voice, and
Me with my stupidity.
everything that you do with
Yeah.
the flip flops, and I was sitting there this morning before I left the hotel. I was watching Roadkill.
Nice.
It's been crazy, and to see everybody's success. I mean, you guys are like family, and it's insane.
The one thing that I keep coming back to when I think about your career and your kind of spot in drag racing is just there are very few people that have been able to do different things while maintaining exactly who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You've not sold yourself into being some character actor.
No.
And like we look at racers as like, well, this is the guy that drives this car in this series and does this thing. That's not you.
No.
And you've not diluted yourself. I think it's great.
And the fans. I make time for the fans because without
You
the
have to,
fans, we're
yeah.
nobody.
I always say they're my customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And without them, in the stands or coming to the shows, I give them the time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they man, you're normal. I'm like, I'm no different than you. I just lucked out.
I
you
try
know?
for the same thing, you know.
Yeah,
And
it's
sometimes
crazy.
it wears you down. End of
Yeah.
the day,
There's
some
a
guys
few.
in your face, but you always gotta, you know.
For the one idiot, there's 100 great people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my wife will say, hey, check yourself. You
Right.
know? Because you get, like, the hardest thing for me is I don't have a big crew. It's me, Jeffrey, and Chris. And at the end of NPK, you know, I was out there all day signing autographs. I can't even tear down without, you know.
Right.
So
Exactly.
my latest thing is I say, okay, when you see me all done here, you can wait. I'll sign everything you got. 9 times out of 10, they're gone.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday I was on the phone with a producer, minor drama going on. I walked way away from people, and some guy comes up while I'm on the phone, puts his arm around me, and takes a selfie. And, you know, there's no personal barriers anymore.
And
but nonetheless, you've got to, you know.
Yep. Some of them can handle it, some can't.
Yeah.
You know, and I get the same thing. It's just it tests you every day. But there again,
They're
without
your
'em,
customers.
absolutely.
We got nothing otherwise.
If that guy walks away from you saying, "Man, that Freiburger's in,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, then you lost that guy.
Yep.
You know?
Well, we happened to be in along those lines. You remember being in Roadkill Nights a couple years ago? You, me, and Leah were out, and that one guy started shooting his mouth off.
Oh, yeah. We were at some bar at like 3 in the morning or
It
something.
was like 3 in the afternoon.
What
Why
could
is
go
it-
wrong?
Oh, yeah.
So we're in Detroit.
that
which is-
wasn't Drag Week.
No, that was Roadkill Nights.
Roadkill Nights. Okay. that
And they
makes
used to bring the
sense.
fuel cars there and do burnouts.
Right.
So Leah's in town, and you and I are at the hotel, whatever, and it was like, all right, well, I guess that's the end of the night, and we get a text, and then we get in some Uber and go to God knows where.
Yeah.
And we're in this bar, and it's just like the 3 of us and a couple other patrons, and all of a sudden this guy, like 4 or 5 seats down, is like, Freiburger, and you gave him a minute or two,
Yeah.
talked to him, and then he ends up, and so I'm kind of sitting between them, and so now all of a sudden the guy starts like calling you an a-hole and doing all this stuff, and it's just it's like you can only give people so much.
But that is few and far between. Overall, I'd say your fans, our fans, they're super, super cool.
Yeah, and your personal space is behind closed doors. You know what I mean?
It is.
Because where we're at in our careers, I mean, your life's out there, you know.
Finnegan said something to me one time. He's like, you know, the problem is once you're famous, you're always famous.
That's right.
He's like, we're going to be dealing with this when we're 70. And you know what? I don't want to sound like I'm complaining about this.
No.
We are very, very fortunate to have the jobs that we have.
Yep.
And most people are incredibly cool, and I'm happy to do it.
And I was at a car show over the winter, and my wife and I went to eat, and Tom Walpack.
I don't know that one.
Dukes Hazzard.
Oh, Wopat.
Well, whatever. See, I don't even know his name.
One of the Duke boys. Yeah.
I looked over at him, and I realized, oh, my God, he's an old man.
Yeah.
You know? And
have you seen us?
Yeah. Yeah. We're not old. But I thought, oh, my God, he's still doing it.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just what I thought, oh, man. But he come in, and he yelled at the bartender because there was no seat. And I thought, oh, my.
No, that's not the way.
I said to my wife, if I ever act like that.
You got permission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Hit me with a 2x4 and drag me out of here.
He come in and said, where am I supposed to sit?
So your career's not over. What's coming next?
We got a lot of stuff coming. NPK is still going. I know we got another season of that. Jeffrey and I have been doing the YouTube stuff pretty good. We worked at it all winter long, and, man, we was growing it really hard. So we made some money on that, and I think that's the future.
Yeah.
And we've got some talks with some producers about maybe doing our own show, Jeffrey and I build show.
That'd be great.
You know,
Stick at
something like
home.
Roadkill. Yeah. You know, just doing
less
the crazy
hack.
stuff. Yeah.
Maybe a little less hack.
I like the hack part, man. That's I'm not a big fit and finish guy, but Jeffrey is. So.
And how about your CRC program with the GTO that you did this year?
That's been amazing. So the CRC thing started with
which is the manufacturer like Brake
Clean.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Brake Clean. Mm-hmm. So that started with Clay's son's project, and they wanted to do another build. So we did this GTO, and all the proceeds will go to scholarships for 10 kids.
They'll auction it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it will go to Mecum Auction in May. So whatever it brings.
Which you can see on MotorTrend.
Yes, yes. And that money will go to 10 scholarships for kids through a tech school. because they want to get the kids back into working with your hands, shop class, the whole thing. So
and look, it's an effectively a street-going version of your car, right? Yellow late model GTO. It's
absolutely
got a nice little blower on it. Makes, I think we saw 600-700 horse.
Yep. Yeah. Clay's going to take it to Edelbrock. They're going to put it on their dyno and get it to make a good bit. So
it crushed me a little bit because that car was so clean when you got it.
That's 1,300 miles or something.
Right. It's like a 2005 or something.
Six. Yep. Wow. And we kept everything. We kept all the original stuff, and that's a wrap, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's got the original paint. I mean, the exhaust even had the stickers on it.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm like, this is too nice to take apart.
Yeah.
But so we kept everything, and whoever gets it, it's going to be a great thing. They can put it back to original if they want, or leave it the way it is. So they came to us on Monday and said, we want to do this another minimum of 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
so we're going to do one every year, which is great because the cause is, because the kids today that are staying at home playing video games or whatever, we need more people working with their hands.
Yeah.
So. And somebody got to put those fires out in the electric cars.
Did you ever think T-shirts would be a big part of the income of your life?
Oh, my
T-shirt
word.
sales. You guys, I mean, that has been one of the things that No Prep Kings and that whole scene has just changed the game on, right?
It scares me to leave with how much money you make in T-shirts.
Oh, wow.
And it just if you would have told me that you have the capability of making 20, 30 grand in a weekend on T-shirts, I'd have said,
in the cotton game. In the cotton game.
Yeah. So, and I hate it because I hate hauling them. But, man, the fans. Do you know what else I cannot keep in? Is the cars, the Matchbox cars. Unbelievable.
They fly.
I sell hundreds every weekend.
Wow.
So, it's, the T-shirt game is good. That helps. I mean, that puts fuel in the tank, and when you win, hey, that's big money too.
It really is.
A lot of people don't know, but before the No Prep Kings was called No Prep Kings, we runnered up in Bristol, and we split $200,000.
Wow. Yeah, that was the first, like you said, that birthed that entire series.
Yes.
That one-off race started that whole series.
Yes. So, the fans came. And, of course, we didn't have shirts.
Yeah.
You know, nobody knew it was going to be that big. And then that's when the shirt thing started. It's just, I still can't believe it.
All this income, you're still hauling your own junk all over the country.
Yeah, they say I've got the nicest rig in No Prep Kings. And I've always wanted one all my life. And I built my first one. And I just traded up. And Bristol changed my life because the trailer I have was actually Kurt's.
Oh, okay.
I found it in Wynnewood. It was for sale. Right after I won that money, I drove straight from Tennessee to Wynnewood and bought the trailer.
Huh.
And I stole the trailer, and I upgrade it every year. I take it to Renegade, get things fixed up on it, and it's my pride and joy, and I could not trust anybody to drive it. Jeffrey can drive it, but, my wife and I and my dog, we travel in it. I love it. And
still, that's a lot of hours that you're not. Maybe it's a little bit of a mental break for you, though.
It is. Like right now, it's sitting in Tulsa. We flew out of Tulsa, and we fly back to Tulsa to get in it to drive to Ennis, Texas. So, yeah, I just love doing it. I don't mind driving, but the older I get, the slower I get, and people always say, "Man, don't you get tired of driving?" And why do you leave so early? I leave so early because I'm old.
Yeah.
And if something happens, I got time to fix it. And I fix my own rig. I'll change the tires, grease the wheel bearings, fix whatever happens. And I drive the speed limit.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I drive the speed limit. Sean, he's always on the side of the road with blown tires and stuff. I said, because
going
the
87 miles an hour.
I said, because the speed limit says 85, you don't have to go that.
Right.
And he's right today going to pick his rig up. It blew up on the way to Vegas. That bill is huge. Unbelievable.
It blew up.
Blew up.
Killed the motor.
Killed the motor. Big old Pete. I don't know what motor it is, but he just
the rod's hanging out of it.
Yeah.
Wow. So Ennis, Texas is your season finale, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Where are you in the points right now?
I think I'm 11.
Okay.
Yeah. we had some highs, had some lows. We've had a lot of hiccups, and you know how drag racing goes. But we tested last week in Tulsa, and it hauled. I fly back tomorrow. We'll test Monday, Tuesday. And I know what I need to go, and I'm not leaving Tulsa until I go that. So we and hit it big.
How do you focus at the track? I mean, I'm no pro racer, but I get race face. Like when we're at Bonneville or something, I'm focused.
Yep.
I don't know how you drive a car that fast with all the people in your face.
I zone them out.
Yeah.
I just, I have a thing. We set up the T-shirt booth at the end of the trailer, and in the pit, I won't sign autographs. I won't talk to people. I'm in the pit working on a car. I tell everybody when I'm back there, I'll sign everything.
You have to for your own safety.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, Jeffrey has a checklist that he goes through, and Chris will shut the T-shirts down and come and do her part of it. And we have a program, and I don't like anybody to intervene with that program. So, like you said, at that speed, it could kill you. So we just focus on it, and I zone everybody out. But when I come back, they're there to cheer you on, and that's when I give them the time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Perfect.
So you got to separate it because it can get the best of you. And, you do have a fan here or there that might want to come by and piss you off. So I zone them out, and I just do my job because it's a job. And I come back and I have fun with them.
Yeah.
And I can banter with them. We always have fun. And the fans, when you can get them to laugh and make fun of them or they're making fun of you, then, man, they're just having a good time. And they walk away and just with a smile on their face.
We're getting down to the end of our chat here, but one of my favorite places to go, and I've gone there now the last 3 years to do their event called the Nightfire Nationals. You guys go there every year. Boise, Idaho.
I love
Killer.
it. Love it.
Killer.
Love it.
I was talking to Brad New yesterday.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I talked to Brad too. What a great family they are. And when you go to that racetrack, they want to make sure you're happy. And that very few racetracks do that. And I show up early. Like I said, I always leave early. And if I don't have any problems, I'll call him and say, hey, do you have a place I can park? Absolutely, And we'll go eat. And I just my engine builder ends up being there, so it works out great. Tim Wallace and the boys at West Side Machine, they have turned my program around with the valve train. So I love Boise, Idaho. It's just
killer place.
I love it.
It's a gem. It's an actual gem.
We went there on a roadkill, and the thing that impressed me most, they know every racer's name.
Absolutely.
And they get them in a winner's circle, even if they want a Wednesday night bracket race. They get those guys in the winner's circle. They treat them like kings.
Yeah.
They do. And that racetrack is the only racetrack in the world that is in the historical registry.
Yes, it's a National Register of
That's
Historic
right.
Places.
That's it. Yep. So it'll always be a racetrack, which is amazing.
Yeah, they were brilliant at doing that, and just they're recognizing that the city, and they still do have a good amount of room around them, but there's all kinds of development.
Small.
And so that now that they're on the historic register, they're there.
Yeah.
And you can't throw me out.
But can you drive cars down it forever?
I believe.
Yeah.
Listen, they wouldn't have gone through. It took them 3 years and a lot of lawyers and a lot of work, and I think they did as much as they could to account for that.
Yeah. That's great.
Man, the houses are just getting so close.
Mm-hmm. Like everywhere.
I think in 4 or 5 years that we've been going there, it's amazing how much that place has grown.
It is.
It's insane.
Well, man, thank you.
No,
this
thank
has
you.
been fantastic, and it's like I just love. We've done a few of these this week, and it's like we just get to talking and the stories and the memories. And I think the one thing I hope people got out of this, and I think they did, was like a real good look at kind of who you are, where you came from, and everything you got going on.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm just a working Joe like everybody else, man. I put my clothes on the same way everybody else does, but it just happens to be that we're in everybody's eyes, and it's great. I love them all.
Well, David's still going to go be looking for the cover of that Hot Rod magazine that inspired
Probably.
Jeff's Camaro build. He's going to dive back on his phone here any minute. But what a great conversation with Jeff. Just a fantastic chat. This is a guy who went from a bricklayer to one of the most well-known figures in the sport of drag racing, and honestly a good dude as well. Thank you for tuning in, listening, or watching to this episode of the Hot Rod Pod, where it all began. I'm Brian, John, David. He's Jeff, and we'll be back soon with the next episode.